Okay, so this coverage is meant to talk about Beryl here, but got a little interesting feature going on here. This is an observed tornado warning, by the way, that's going to be heading right towards Hastings, Nebraska right now. So, well, they just downgraded it to radar indicator. We're going to check it out and see what happens, but really think the threat's going to decrease the further east it goes. Conditions are a little less favorable the further east we go with this setup here. I've been watching this one over the last couple of days ago. We dropped a video about this setup yesterday, actually. Sure to check that out if you could. I'll leave a link in the chat if anyone's interested. But it does look like the rotation has diminished here. There's a quick little weak echo region here. There is still an inflow notch though, so this still has to be watched pretty closely. But hope everyone's had a good Saturday up to this point though. Like I said, we're mainly going to be focusing on Beryl in this one. This is really more so a discussion for what to expect as we go forward. But if we see something like this, we will try to track it just in case anyone lives in the area might need help. Sup, Bullets for Teeth? That's a heck of a name. I actually like that. Sounds like a good sludge metal title. Like a good sludge metal band name. Or maybe, yeah, it would be good sludge metal, I think. Or maybe thrash metal too. I don't know. Being a metal nerd right now. That's very suspicious right there too. Little supercell that's popped up there. It does have some broad rotation with that too. Very broad rotation, but nonetheless, it's pretty easy to see. So we'll have to watch that and see if that ends up producing something. So, okay, so the reason why this is going a little bit more intently than I originally forecasted is due to this trough that's right here. That was going to be the main driving force for the storms, but I don't expect this to last for too much longer. There are some high top clouds here that are coming into play as well. Same. I mean, I just refer to them, the subgenres as well, subgenres, because it's a little easier. I mean, the expanse of metal today as it is, it's so wide that, you know, it's kind of hard to keep up with it all. So, I mean, the subgenres do have a purpose. It's just people abuse it. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Hopefully we're not dealing with issues again with the internet. I notice the frames are indeed dropping right now. Alright, so we'll wait and see what happens with this storm here. I don't see a tornado possible tag with that new cell right now. I don't know if it'll hold itself together or not for too much longer. I do think that there is a brief window of opportunity. Yep, there it is right there. It's trying. It's going to try and do it. If it's going to do it, it's going to be quick, and it's going to be very, very close to Hastings. It's going to be just off to the northeast here. By the way, I don't know if you can hear it in the background, but I got some natural fireworks of my own going on. Got a nice little thunderstorm that's been hanging around for the last 30 minutes here. Got a stationary front over my area. So, yeah, it's pretty distant right now, but you might be able to still hear the thunder. It's a little bit louder earlier. But also, while we're at it here, while I won't show it on screen, just in case anyone is wanting to know what's going on in Nebraska, I am going to briefly discuss what I am seeing with Beryl, because the 5 o'clock advisory has just come in not too long ago. Again, hope everyone's doing pretty well. But right now, as it stands, Like I said, 5 o'clock advisory has just come in. And not much has changed with the wind, so this storm looks like it may stay a little bit weaker than forecast, which is really a first. Because this storm's been, like I said, it's been exceeding expectations for a while here. I do think it is gaining strength, and it eventually will re-strengthen to a hurricane. But I remember saying yesterday there was potential for this to go up to Category 2. While I would say that it's still possible, I think the wind shear is doing just enough to slow this down. Where are you from, by the way, Bullets? Yeah, that's a notable uptrend in rotation. I do think that is going to be tornado warned shortly. There's very little doubt in my mind that that's going to end up getting a tornado warning. Oh, you're from Texas? Well, depending on which side of Texas you're on right now, you're probably going to be in luck. If you're on the east side of Texas, you're definitely in luck. You're going to get some moisture from it. Then the good thing is also after this storm, the weather pattern becomes a little bit more favorable for those summertime showers and storms. So don't worry, your rain is coming. Also, to anyone tuning in, make sure you're hitting that like button if you could. That would be very helpful to the channel here. Hey, nothing wrong with that. Yeah, mad at you for being 10 minutes late, Macabet. Yeah. So mad. I'm just kidding. You're fine. Hey. You can tune in whenever you want, or you can not. I mean, it's okay. I mean, everybody's got their own lives to live. This is really trying. It is really trying hard. There is a chance, though, that this might get smothered by this storm right here. This rotation here has looked pretty sheared out now, so I think that what's in the tornado warning is pretty much a done deal now. There's still some weak rotation there, but it's downtrending by the minute. I don't think this supercell is going to mature well enough. This is a classic example of low-level jet, of the lack of low-level jet coming into play here. If there was a little bit more low-level jet, I would be extremely concerned seeing this look right here. I do think there's still a chance, but it needs to ramp up pretty fast, because once these two storms collide, that interference is going to be destructive to that storm's updraft, and that's going to be the end of it. Okay. So we'll briefly play some music in the meantime. I normally don't do this as much whenever we have discussions, but since we're covering severe weather at the same time right now too, I'm gonna break the rules for a moment here. If you want to keep the all right, guys, we're dropping frames. I don't know if we've come back around or not yet. Okay, I think we're okay now. I don't know what's been going on with OBS the last couple of days. We've been having some issues. I don't know if an update is needed or not, but when it's... Ooh. Don't know if you heard that one. That one was loud. That one was really loud. That was a big rumble of thunder. I think over towards the state park, which is right down the street from me, might have had a tree get hit or something. One got hit yesterday. Alright, and there goes the tornado warning for now. Yep, there goes that rotation. Just as quickly as it started to ramp up. Okay, so after this brief coverage, we're going to go back and get into the swing of things here for our discussion here. For some of you folks, I know some of you guys live in Texas, so I know this is going to be extra appealing to you guys. So let me get everything reset here. A lot of this stuff is still showing what the info that was available at the 2 o'clock update. 5 o'clock update, or 5 o'clock Eastern update just came in. So I'm having to refresh everything. But we're about to switch gears here. Also, while we're at it, oh, there's a tornado warning for it. A little bit late, though, I would say. I would say they issued that pretty late. Like, it had a much better radar signature about 5 minutes ago, but hey, it is what it is. Okay, so we got that. Yeah, you're gonna start to see an increase in the clouds and showers over the course of the next 24 to 48 hours in central Texas. Storm is actually going to be taking a path that's very close to that region here. Bullets. Oh, Makabet, I do have bad news for you, though. With this new storm track, though, Arizona might not get the same kind of moisture from Beryl like before. Dang. I mean, there's still a chance, but it's not going to be, maybe it drops a little bit. So, just a fair warning. All right. We'll keep an eye on the tornado warning on the other side. I'll switch my screen over here. But we're going to start talking about Beryl now. If anyone wants updates, just let me know in chat if you live in Nebraska. All right, so let's get into it here. This is Beryl right now. We're looking at a tropical storm with 60-mile-per-hour winds still. There has been a slight drop in pressure, nothing incredible. Looking at it on satellite, it's still a little bit disorganized, but it looks like it's starting to slowly get its act together here. It's moving pretty quickly, too, from the looks of it as well. We're at 13 miles an hour, so it's pretty quick. But we can anticipate this again to strengthen all the way up to a hurricane. We can actually get a look at the intensity forecast here on this map too. So a little bit later this afternoon, or tomorrow morning, we can anticipate this getting an increase in wind speed up to 65 miles an hour. And then by tomorrow afternoon, this will become a minimal hurricane again. This is anticipated to re-strengthen all the way up to landfall. As of right now, the maximum anticipated strength is at 85 miles an hour. So, I have to keep an eye on that. There is still a chance it could make it up to 90, but I'm not quite expecting anything beyond a Category 1 at this current point in time. As we all know, this hurricane has exceeded expectations multiple times before, so don't let your guard down. And don't think just because it's a Category 1 that it can't have tremendous effects. That's another thing to make note of. So tropical storm warnings, hurricane warnings are now in effect, by the way. Some areas are actually even mentioned here. Some local hurricane statements are including Brownsville, Corpus Christi. Brownsville is under a tropical storm warning. We have Houston and Galveston in the tropical storm warning. Austin and San Antonio are most likely going to end up in a tropical storm warning. We even have all the way over towards Lake Charles in Louisiana in the mix regarding maybe some storm surge too. This is a pretty wide stretching storm here. You can even see it on satellite here. But impacts are going to be very far and wide with this storm here. The tropical storm force winds, I have to actually look and see just exactly how far those winds stretch out from the center. But from what I remember in the last report, I do think that those winds were stretching about 80 to 90 miles from the center. So we have hurricane watches also still in effect for the Texas coast south of Baffin Bay. I think that we will see that upgraded to a hurricane warning within the next 12 hours, by the way. We also have to go back here so we can get the storm surge watches and warnings. Alright, so the areas in the light pink here are our storm surge watches. This includes Houston and the Galveston Bay. This includes Brownsville. These are storm surge watches, by the way. Storm surge warnings from Corpus Christi all the way up towards, or just south of Texas City here, over towards Lake Jackson and Bay City. This is where we would probably expect the most intense storm surge, where the landfall is of course occurring. I would anticipate it to be most intense towards the back half of the storm, actually. It's kind of a calling card from what we saw with Beryl as she went through, or went close to, Jamaica here. This kind of has a similar look. Looking at our peak storm surge, we could see up to about 4 to 6 feet. Some areas could vary a little bit, maybe up to 3 to 5 feet. Then we could also see a little bit further over towards Lake Charles, maybe up to 1 to 3 feet. Very true bullets. Then on top of that, for the most part over towards these areas for the last week or so, it's been somewhat dry. So that dry ground isn't going to take in water as well either. There's actually already a moderate risk for flash flooding here over towards this region. Unfortunately, I can't zoom in on this map, but I can do this and pull this up here so we can get a better look at who could be affected. But yeah, here is our moderate risk for flooding on Monday. You can see Victoria all the way to Houston, Bryan, College Station, and areas in between in that moderate risk for flooding. About 6 million people are included in this moderate risk for flooding. You also gotta pay attention to that slight risk. Don't sleep on that. Up to about 18 million people are in that. So big time flooding threat. And then also even the marginal risk, that doesn't mean it's a 0% chance either. Also another threat with Beryl and any sort of tropical systems also of course the winds. So here's the actual arrival time that we could be expecting here. So by the time we get towards Sunday morning, we're going to start to see those tropical storm force winds become a factor here. By the time we get towards Sunday afternoon, a large part of the course, the Gulf Coast here, or a large part of the Texas coast, is expected to see tropical storm force winds. And then as we get towards central Texas, we'll start to see that wind field begin to expand further inland. This may even include your region, Bullets, so get ready for that. I think that's going to be one of your main concerns. Of course, you are in that, I think you're going to be just on the edge of that slight risk. Or maybe you're on the marginal for right now, but I would expect some pretty notable rainfall towards your region here. So let's go ahead and look at some tropical storm force wind probabilities. The probabilities right now are pretty high, of course, over towards Corpus Christi. We can actually put this into a loop here. And right now, obviously, since we're still about a day or so out from landfall, these probabilities are still a little bit low. These could increase as time goes on, or we can actually expect them to. Yeah, tell them to be sure to tune in tomorrow on Monday here. Oh, you're just north. Yeah, you're definitely in that slight risk, so you're gonna get a good bit of rain here. You're gonna get a good bit of wind too. Got some nice thunder going on towards my area too. I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying this storm, by the way, folks. I love storms personally. Excuse me. So also hurricane force winds. Not going to be as big of a factor since the storm's not that strong. The hurricane force winds are not going to expand super far out from the center, but they will be a factor here. Right now, of course, since it's still not even a hurricane yet, probabilities are going to be low. But again, Corpus Christi, I would be in particular focused on you as we continue to go forward here. So let's go ahead and look at that rainfall potential. So, of course, with the storm making landfall, we have this little swath of 8 to 12 inches possible here. This is going to actually be a little bit further off to the right of where the eye ends up making landfall. This is where the strongest showers and storms are going to be. I can't give a great relative look just using this model alone. But what I can do is kind of improv a little bit here. What we can do is kind of make our comparison here. So here's San Antonio. I'm going to say Houston's just about somewhere around here, I would say. Somewhere around here in this circle, rough estimate, that's where Houston's going to be. Or Austin, excuse me. Here's Houston right here. This is right where our moderate risk is right here. There could even be an expansion of that moderate risk depending on how things progress with the storm, because the track keeps changing. I wouldn't say that Beryl is a fast mover, but it's not a slow mover either. It's moving at about 13 miles an hour. It's a little bit closer to average. At one point, the storm was moving at about 20 miles an hour forward speed. But, of course, as we know, things have changed a lot recently. But in any case, though, like I said, you can expect some. You can expect a healthy dose of rain from there. The concern definitely would be flash flooding for sure. So keep an eye out for those flash flood warnings. And of course, don't drive on flooded roadways. I feel like I sound like Smokey the Bear, except it's for flash flooding. Only you can prevent turnaround and don't drown type situations. And that didn't even go well with the slogan at all. So yeah, I would probably fail to Smokey. All jokes aside, though, this is a pretty dangerous storm that we have going on here. And then also the threat of tornadoes is a pretty big deal. there is a chance that that threat may actually end up stealing the show here, especially as we get into tomorrow. We'll probably actually have live coverage to cover that threat. There are storm chasers that are going to be in that area, by the way, so we'll still need to keep an eye on that. So we'll go ahead and pull up some models here while we're at it. Yeah, I'm not super familiar with the I-35 corridor, just looking off or just sight reading the state alone. But actually there's a way I can probably tell. I can look at it from Radar Omega still. I just won't show it on screen. Go ahead and do this real quick. Alright, so of course our attention is going to be diverted over here towards Corpus Christi. So go for it. This is Beryl coming in. We're looking at the winds at the mid levels of the atmosphere. And I think by the time we get towards lunchtime tomorrow is where we start to see some of those rain bands come in. And then of course with the friction of the storm making landfall here, we look at these winds at the mid levels and we make our comparison here. This is at 25 hours out. Lock that in. So what I'm trying to do is find a comparison here in regards to the winds at the lower levels of the atmosphere. Not great, Nick. Not great at all. I'm just gonna tell you, if it gets canceled, I wouldn't be surprised. Because that's right around the time the storm will be making landfall, and probably some of the heaviest rain will be over towards Houston. Also, the tropical storm force winds will be well in effect for the region by that point too. I mean, I wish I had better news to tell you, but I mean, if you were able to get in though, that's good on you. But yeah, it's no problem. I'm glad I could help at least. I will say this much though, also, that this forecast has been like a ever changing here in regards to its track. So there is a chance that maybe there is a small chance things could improve, or it could go the other way. Could literally be either or. Because I remember earlier this week we were expecting a landfall in Mexico, not Texas at all. But as we know, Beryl has been nothing but surprises here. Okay. Looking at the low-level jet profile again, we're going to move this a couple hours up here. We're trying to get a good estimate as we get towards that peak tornado threat time. I really think it's going to be more towards the early evening from the looks of it here. And notice I'm looking particularly towards the right front quadrant, which will be right here. Oh. Yeah, I hear you. There's a good chance that it shifts that way too, because that's the trend that it's been on. I don't know if it'll trend that far, but I'm not going to rule it out. I'll put it that way. It did hit the Yucatan, actually. That's the thing. Well, it did hit the Yucatan. I actually covered it when it did. But right after it hit the Yucatan, it just got back out to open water. It hit a smaller portion of it too. It weakened it a lot, but obviously it wasn't going to be enough. I mean, it was still a Category 2 storm when it made landfall, so when you have something like that, it's going to take a lot more than just a land impact for about 8 hours to take it down a bit more. But Yucatan did kind of slow it down for sure. That, and we should also be thankful for the fact that this had a lot of wind shear to deal with too. If this didn't have a lot of wind shear to deal with, I think there's a good chance that this could have made it back to a major hurricane. I've seen that happen a few times, but definitely not towards this time of year. That's one thing I will say though. Beryl has been an anomaly in so many different ways. At its peak, it was a Category 5. Did untold damage in Grenada. But also just its ability to maintain its major hurricane status for as long as it has in this time of year is unheard of. Well, I'll say this much. I wouldn't rule it out, but I'm leaning more towards no as far as it getting up to Category 2, and I'm going to tell you why. It's mainly due to a lot of wind shear that's still over the Gulf on the west side. If we didn't have to deal with that, I do think it would have made its way back to 3. I've been tracking this storm for a while. So, but yeah, all of this right here, this wind shear, it's going to help slow this down. Or slow the strengthening process. That's why it's actually still a tropical storm right now. Because had this wind shear not come into play, like this point right here, this is where I would expect it to strengthen it at its most rapidly. Because the wind shear starts to lighten up around the region. It kind of pushes back onto land. But before then, you see all this area in the red here. That's not good for hurricanes. That helps weaken hurricanes pretty quick. But if that wind shear wasn't there and we were just going off of the sea surface temperatures alone, look at that. Look at how warm the water is right now. It's like 29 to 30 degrees Celsius, which is basically almost 90 degrees. So, to put it in perspective for you, the threshold for hurricanes is about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're 10 degrees above the mark. So, like I said, if that wind shear wasn't there, I would be much more confident in it strengthening rapidly. Not to say that it can't, because I didn't expect it to maintain Cat 2 as it was closing in on the Yucatan. But for a brief period, it actually went to Cat 3. So, there's still a lot that's on the table for this storm here. This is just me being honest. But yeah, as far as forecast intensity is concerned, and there's a cool feature that I found on this website that I'm using. I can look at the spaghetti models and get a gauge of its strength. The good news is, a lot of these spaghetti model ensembles that I've been looking at, they don't have this going beyond a Cat 1. So, I think that we're okay, but anything's still possible at this point. There's very little that I would keep off the table here, I would say. I think Icon's wrong. I'm going to be honest. Icon's a decent model, but I think it's a little bit aggressive in this case. I mean, that is a worst case scenario if it does happen, but I'm seeing a lot of model agreement that's kind of pushing against it. Whoa. Well, now that's something I'm not too keen on. I'm not a marine scientist. I'm a weather nerd, but not a marine scientist, so I do think there is a slight correlation to that, but I don't know if it necessarily will make the sharks that aggressive. But most fish will try to get away from the surface of the water if they know that a hurricane's coming, because they will be able to sense it. So there is that, but how it correlates directly to that, that's where my knowledge kind of lies. That's where my knowledge kind of lacks a little bit, I should say. One shark? Yikes. Yeah, that's what I'm saying though, man. I'm yeah, as far as marine science and biological or marine biologic or biosciences or stuff like that, not my field. I do find it fascinating though. I definitely find it fascinating. Alright, so let's go ahead and look at a couple other frames here. Like I said, I'm really just trying to hash out that peak tornado threat here. Let me see. I'm going to try to go on the edge of this here. See if I can't find anything. I'm going to try to see if I can pull up a good skew T chart for this setup here. Actually, there's a lot of energy over towards Texas too, which is surprising. Alright, so good low-level jet around this time. Okay, so we want to be further off to the east here. A lot of wind energy. Let's go about 3 hours here. See if we can find a tornado sounding. And there we go. Okay, so this is a little thing that the channel regulars might be a little bit more familiar with. It's a skew T chart. I talk about this a little bit in my forecast whenever there's severe weather. Some things I'm making note of here is the temperature dew point spread here, the dew point depression. Not really much of one, but at least the lower cloud bases. So that's this has a look that yields better for tornadoes. There's also a lot of low-level shear, good directional shear, or good speed shear and directional shear towards the surface, which is what you would look for. We also have this little indicator right here, over here, that says shear from surface to 1 kilometer at 24. Minimum number usually is about 20, so we're already exceeding that. I don't expect these tropical thunderstorms to be incredible supercells or anything like that, but we can expect an opportunity for a few tornadoes. Wait, whoa, what? That's crazy, dude. That is crazy. Going into a kayak and taking the shark or nailing a shark, that's crazy. You guys are built different. That guy's built different. I'll tell you that much. Like, I actually had to pause a second through the analysis just to kind of process that. But in any case, though, let's go ahead and take a look at what our significant tornado parameter might look like. And here's the thing, I wouldn't expect the numbers to be high, but don't expect the numbers to be 0 either. But we're gonna go ahead and set this one into a loop. I've heard some crazy stories before, but that one's different. I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I could see it being possible. I'm an open-minded person, but at the same time, some people are gonna find a hard time believing it. Hi, Blondie. When is the wind shear expected to diminish? Well, it depends on which region, because as the storm makes landfall, the tornado threat will still be prevalent, but mainly on the right front edge or the right front quadrant is usually going to be where the tornado threat's going to be highest. But thankfully, it looks like for the most part, the significant tornado threat just isn't really propagating into much of anything. This is the highest value I've seen. It may get like to about a 3. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at this and see if this is even valid. The thing is, the significant tornado parameter, I mean, it's a useful tool to a point, to a fault, but it doesn't really pick up on every condition, so to speak. It's not super accurate. It doesn't always say that there's a guarantee of a stronger tornado, but there is some validity with this. Definitely looks like the low level shear with this area over here is pretty strong, but this little further inland, so your area is not going to be of interest, it looks like, as much. Of course, this is very much a variable thing as well. But this also looks like it's just before sunset. Yeah, I'm kind of like that too, Bullet. I mean, I haven't seen it myself, so I'm not going to get into that. But all I could say is I don't have any reason to disprove your argument at this time. So I'm not going to try to, I'm not going to really try to at this point. If you saw it, then you saw it. And how did you get that, Contingents? I hope you get better soon, by the way. Whoever gave it to you, let me know. I'll beat them up for you. But then I'll probably end up getting it too if I do that. But yeah, man, if they want the smoke, they can get it. Out here messing with my mods, bro. Mess with my mods, you gotta fight me. Oh, okay. So that's interesting. I got good news for your area, Nick. It looks like by the time Monday afternoon comes in, I would expect the worst of your tornado threat to be gone. It'll be shifting more so to the northeast. But this is an interesting value right here. It's a lot higher. This will be just after... This will probably be like maybe about, I'd say 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon Monday. Oh. Okay. Those are some dangerous parameters right there. So it looks like Monday could be pretty busy here. Alright, so let's go ahead and look at our radar here. Like I said, Nick, there is a pretty good chance that that flight might not be leaving the ground. I think it would be very risky if it did, but all I can say is be careful whatever you do. Hey, Atlanta, Florida girl, how you doing? You didn't get any rain today? I find that actually shocking. I actually find that very shocking. Even we got rain today. You mean to tell me you didn't? Yeah, that's shocking. Especially with the amount of moisture that we have available right now. If we don't get the rain, if you don't get the rain today, I do think you'll probably get it tomorrow. Or maybe, let me see. Let me see what Florida's looking like. Yeah, there's scattered showers around the area. Don't mind me, guys. Let me put the radar up real quick. There's showers in the area. No, there's showers like in the peninsula. Give it time. That's all I'll say. Give it time. I think it's coming. The question is, how much are these moving? There's stuff forming offshore. I think there's going to be something a little later for you tonight, possibly. Shower and thunderstorm chances are going to increase by tomorrow, though. I'm almost certain of it. So just hang in there. You'll get some rain soon. Especially if we get to the point where this front can start moving. Also, anyone that is still interested, yes, I am keeping an eye on that tornado threat over towards Nebraska right now. We do have that lone tornado warning that did have, or, well, that storm complex did have an observed tornado earlier. That has since lifted, of course. Alright, so that's what we're dealing with right now. You can expect some showers and storms already to start forming later this afternoon over towards the Texas coast. And we're going to see that coverage begin to really increase as we head into tomorrow here. This is where we start seeing those first squalls by the time we get towards lunchtime and just a little bit after. This is where we could see a couple occasional isolated cells. We'll kind of go from there. The stronger cells definitely seem like they start to come in as we head in towards Sunday night. We'll go on from there. Looks like the most impressive supercells, of course, are going to be, like I said, Monday afternoon. Alright, Nick, I'll see you next time, man. I'll get to that question in just a second, Atlanta, Florida girl. Because this is what I'm a little bit concerned about, is these cells right here kind of break off, and they have a semi-discrete nature to them a little bit. This is where the wind shear is really going to be strong across this region here. So I'll have to see what happens with that. So right near the Texas-Louisiana border might be a point of interest. Let me go ahead and let me go ahead and take a look at the MSLP. Yep, the right front quadrant. The dreaded right front quadrant. Oops. Hang on. Oh, no. It's not quite what I was wanting to click there. Bacon seems like he's a little tied up right now. No. Something's going on with something's been going on with OBS lately. This happened on the last stream too. I had to I recently restarted the computer, so I didn't think that was a problem. I think you're gonna get more than 2 inches of rain over there, Bullet. Okay, so the government. Dang, I didn't think they were against me like that. Alright, so I'm trying to look for the pressure tongue right now so that way I can give you an exact idea what's going on with that front in relation to Beryl. There is another source that I can use though. If I can't find it on here. So here's Beryl right here. kind of hard to tell what's going on here. I'm gonna guess. Let me use this. Let me use this as a point of reference too. This front's all the way up towards Canada. So this is gonna be a little bit difficult. Check that while I'm at it. Jeez, what the heck? Tangents. I'm all the pain. Oh no. Oh no. He gets sick and he loses it, man. He's out of his freaking mind. Oh wow. I just actually looked at the number of likes here. Thank you guys a bunch. 21 likes. That's freaking awesome, man. And for a discussion, no less. Glad you guys are enjoying hearing me ramble right now. We were trying to be educated about it. Okay, so yeah. Alright, let me go back a few frames. Maybe I can find it. Tour warnings in Nebraska right now. It's in central, heading towards east Nebraska right now. 5 minutes left on it. Radar indicated it's in a line of storms. Rotation's kind of been pulsing in and out. Honestly, they should have issued a warning on it much earlier. At the start of the stream, we actually were covering it, and it did have an observed tag on, and there was a warning with an observed tag, but it fell apart pretty quick. Further east the further east we go with that setup, the less impressive it gets. Okay, let me try this one more time. If not, then I'm just going to use a different source. I'm trying to get better, because this is actually something I'm trying to improve on, is using the using this particular map to find the fronts. I mean, and I can do it to an extent, but stationary fronts are a little bit complicated. Because, well, stationary fronts don't really move. Baldy in Chief? What the heck? Baldy in Chief? Is that really what they're called? I want to follow that. I've heard of Texas Weather Center, but who's Baldy in Chief, man? Like, somebody has to tell me, man. That is awesome. That is an awesome name. I'm sure he doesn't like it, but that is an awesome nickname. If I was to be bald, I would want a name like that. Odds of that happening though are like slim to none though. Yeah, I'm gonna have to use another source here because I'm not gonna try to inflate my ego. I cannot find it on that map. That's for sure. I'm not going to try to inflate an ego that isn't even there to begin with. All right. I have to do a little bit more studying with this map, so guess that's my homework tonight. Not directly. You're not going to see the eye hit at this current point in time. Yeah, I could use that too. I'm trying to find that stationary front though, contingents. That's the thing. Yeah. There's another website I use where I'm able to find it a lot better. But right now I'm just kind of struggling to find it. Where is it? I cannot find what I'm looking for. David Reimer. Okay. He seems like that my kind of person. He seems like somebody I'd love to hang out with. Because he seems like someone who doesn't take himself too seriously. I like people like that. I'm kind of like that too. I don't really take myself too seriously either. I mean, it's kind of hard to... It's somewhat hard to get me irritated. Like you actually have to put an effort in. But once you do, you're screwed. Dang, I cannot find it. Oh, I've heard of Texas Weather. I just didn't remember his actual name. I didn't know he was called Baldy in Chief. But that is awesome, though. I want to do that someday myself, storm chase, but right now I'm a little tight on the finances here, so it's a little difficult. Okay, so the new models haven't come in, so I'm a little blind here. We ended up being on a model cut, so I actually might not be able to answer the question. Atlanta, Florida girl, I might not be able to answer this question. I'm gonna try again though. Okay, so this is where our front. Sorry, so this is where our front is. This. Now screw that. I'm gonna try and figure this out. Nah, I'm mad now. I'm figuring this out. Screw this. Screw this. I'm figuring it out. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I actually think I might have it. Yeah, I mean, that's true. We could always do the dew points too. We're having trouble with the stream again. Sorry, guys. Hang on. I've been having so much issues with it. So much in the way of issues with this. Alright, so here's Beryl right here. The front is just inside that 70-degree line. I would anticipate it pushing north then. Yeah, sorry about that, you guys. I don't know what's been going on with my computer lately. Like, it's been absolutely ridiculous. I'm gonna have to probably clean up the PC a little bit. Maybe that's where our issue lies. It's my Ethernet cable again. I don't know why, but I don't disconnect the Ethernet cable, but it's not registering on here. That's what the issue is. Because when I'm just using regular Wi-Fi, that's when the problem occurs. Oops. Hang on. Well, I mean, Radar Omega is, of course, playing a part in it. mean, I literally did all this yesterday, though. That's what's really irritating. Like, usually I don't have to do this, but like maybe a couple times a week. I mean, I'll do that tonight. Definitely need to make sure that we have that set to go when Beryl makes landfall over towards Texas, of course. So, there's that. Okay. Well, we'll try and tough this out for a little bit longer before we go here. I mean, since it's a discussion, we aren't going to be here for forever unless you really just want me to hang out for like 5 hours. Even then, I'm probably not going to do that. Got to save the energy for whenever we actually need it, which will be definitely tomorrow and heading into Monday. Alright, so let's go. Let's backtrack here one more time. Front's right here, just below 70-degree line. I do have a lot of tabs open on Chrome right now. There was something I was working on, and I do think that is kind of slowing things down just a little bit. Alright, I think that might have helped improve it. Okay, alright, let's try this again. Dang. All these different issues occurring at once. Alright, so here's a stationary boundary. Yeah, eventually it bulges up to the north here. Okay, so it was as I was expecting it. Also, if you are still here, Atlanta, Florida girl, by chance, that onshore flow is definitely going to help increase the chance of thunderstorms, just as I was anticipating earlier. That's kind of what I was mentioning. I just didn't know how the stationary front was going to play into it. There we go. Sorry about the delay. Alright, Bullets, see you soon, hopefully. You stay safe over there. But yeah, it looks like the stationary front ends up being pushed north by the hurricane, or by Beryl, which is to be expected. But main thing to focus on is these barbs right here that's going to create that onshore flow. So you're going to have that chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms. I wouldn't expect anything necessarily along the lines of an organized rain threat. Wait, what? Oh. I'm really sorry that that's going on. That actually kind of makes me a little mad. I'm not gonna lie. All I can say is I hope that's an honest mistake, because if not, then well, let's just say that I would love to call them something that I shouldn't on stream. That's just yeah. Let me be quiet for a second. Let me be quiet for just a moment. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a couple of quick looks at what Beryl will look like on some of the hurricane forecast models before we call this one a stream. Oh, okay. Yeah, sometimes they also need a little kick in the rear too, so I get it. We aren't mad at you here, though. We definitely aren't, so you're good. I respect the honesty, though, too. Like, that's a good quality trait right there. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at what our simulated satellite might look like here. It's a pretty cool feature that we have on Tropical Tidbits. Free website, by the way. And yet you can get a boatload of information here. So interesting thing to make note of here is that a lot of the hurricane models aren't really keen on to that turn to the north. This is a heck of a circulation, though, still by this point. And also, we have to watch these areas a little bit further off towards the Midwest and even towards the deep south here as we go forward. We still might have some remnants to deal with. We don't have this feature on here. There's another feature that we'll look at here before we go too, if you want. Okay, now that's a little bit weird as far as the look of the storm is concerned. There we go. I think this model might be a tiny bit glitchy. Doctor, yeah, we know. I remember you saying that you're a fan of him. Just doing a quick little model comparison here before we go. I don't know what the deal is with the HAFS runs here. They're not quite picking up on what the storm actually looks like on satellite, especially with the cloud tops here for sure. They have the storm looking super messy, and then on top of that, the only thing that I do agree with on these models is the track. Even then, they're still a little further to the south here. But there is a lot of congruency amongst the models here in regards to track, at least. It's getting a little warm in here. GFS has a weird look to it as well. I don't know what the trend is going on here with or what the trend is with all of these with all the satellite imagery, but the track is pretty close to Harvey. Thankfully, though, it looks like it's going to still stay pretty far to the south of Houston and Galveston here. But that will pose a storm surge issue for that area too, though. Thankfully, it's going to be far weaker than Harvey was. No, MV, this is not going to hit Mexico twice. Yeah, and when it hit the Yucatan, it really took a lot out of it. I wouldn't be surprised. I think it could go either way here. I'm leaning more towards Monday morning landfall. Impacts will definitely start Sunday night though, or Sunday afternoon really. Doesn't look like the Euro works anymore on here when it comes to the hurricane data, which is kind of a shame. It is what it is though. Yeah, there's estimates of up to 15. The general consensus is up to about 8 to 12. Icon actually is probably the most bold of all the models here. Icon is said to push this up towards like Cat 2, Cat 3. But I think that was from a really old model run here. Oh, you're getting some you're not getting anything necessarily associated directly with Beryl, but the amount of moisture in the area is inducing some storm initiation over there. So you're gonna get a few storms popping off here and there. Well, yeah, that's just more or less an appetizer as to what may be coming as we go further along here. We'll be live tomorrow actually doing a little bit of coverage for that, but we're really going to intensify the coverage as the storm draws closer to landfall. Tough part about this system is trying to figure out what exactly it's going to do, because it's been really hard to rely on the models, because just when you think it does one thing, it ends up doing something entirely different. Oh, we also have an observed tornado warning, by the way, in Nebraska. And this is actually North Dakota. This is away from the risk area. Like, what the heck is going on here? Take a look at that real quick before we go. So they confirmed tornado 10 miles south of Stanley. This moving southeast at 10 miles an hour. This was reported by weather spotters, and locations that could be impacted would be Belden. Still have that tornado warning going on in Nebraska too. It just does not want to give it up. We'll do a couple of quick scans of this. We'll do a couple of quick scans of that, and then we'll also go ahead and take a look down towards the Texas coast here. Oh, and of course the radar's out too. Isn't that nice? Oh wait, that's a local radar. Kind of hard to see what's going on with this here too. Okay, really hard to see what's going on with this here. Is there any sort of pace velocity? Great. Okay, wait. I might be able to see something here. Can we get base velocity? There it is right there. It's not a great look at it, but definitely see signs of rotation. That's for sure. Alright, then back to Nebraska. Be much easier to use the radar here. Honestly, I don't know why they're still going with this tornado warning here. Based off what I'm seeing, this is just one giant shear line. It's been that way for a while now. Alright, then over towards the Texas. Starting to get those hurricane warnings in effect now, guys. Again, do have to keep an eye out for some showered storm activity. We're going to continue to see that on the rise as we get that onshore flow with that moisture coming in from Beryl here. So the threat for damaging winds also exists with some of these storms a little further off towards Victoria. If you're over towards Houston, Galveston, it's these storms that are offshore that you're going to have to pay attention to over the course of the next couple hours. There is a chance that these do dissipate over time though. But eventually, as we head later into the evening, the threat will increase with storms coming. Yeah, I can understand that, Elat. Yeah, that is a crazy outflow boundary contingent. That is indeed a crazy outflow boundary. I feel like it's almost also like kind of pulling these storms in a southward motion too, which is actually really cool to see on radar. Why would I be mad at you for wanting rain? I don't blame you. If I was in your area, I would want rain too. Alright, let me know what you find. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I don't know if that's an L or an I here. Like, it's popping up kind of weird on my screen. Let me look again. I'm gonna assume it's Iat. I might be wrong. If I am, I'm sorry, because people botch my name all the time. So I definitely understand. But I get where you're coming from 100%. I don't know exactly for sure whether this will be a Harvey repeat. It's not gonna be. I'm not expecting it to be as strong as Harvey. But I think there could be some similar impacts. I do think storm surge will be a big deal. The thing with Harvey that I remember was I think Harvey was moving a lot slower. Whereas I think Beryl will still have a pretty good forward speed on her. Okay, so I did get it right. Cool, cool. What are the odds? Dang it, that might be one of the few questions that I might not be able to answer, because literally with every update that I've seen, the track has shifted more and more off to the northeast. So while dang it, man, that's hard to say. Newbies to hurricanes never get the impact of storm surge. Well, if they don't know, they'll find out. And while that's somewhat of a joke, it's really not. Unfortunately. I do think it could sneak off to the right a little bit more. Do I think it's going to go to Houston and Galveston? I think that's still a bit of a stretch. I'm thinking, I think 1 in 4. Hard to say. Hi, Smoochie. Yeah, I remember Harvey. I mean, this was long before I had a YouTube channel and covering weather, but yeah, I remember Harvey pretty well. I'm also a fan of the Houston Texans, and I remember what J.J. Watt did. That earned him Man of the Year too. What he did, so that also is what kind of drew a lot of attention towards that. Good grief, Makabet. Being savage here. I mean, Mother Nature can be no, not Harvey Wallbanger. I'm talking about Hurricane Harvey. I had a feeling it wasn't. Oh, I'm sorry that happened. Ed. But yeah, I don't expect this one to stall out. So there's some good news to be had there. I know a lot of people are having flashbacks because of that, thankfully. The storm's still moving at 13 miles an hour right now based off the last update, so it's going to take a lot for it to slow down. This storm actually is set to move this stationary front out of the way as well. I don't think if the low pressure around here was a little bit stronger, maybe we would have something there. But it just doesn't seem like it's going to be the case here, which is good news. Yeah, no problem though. This is what we do here on the channel. Love doing it too. I do find it absolutely insane though, just how much the track has changed. I remember we were expecting a landfall all the way over towards maybe towards Tampico at one point in Mexico. And look where the cone is now. We were expecting it all the way over here originally. Then it moved from here to here towards Corpus Christi, and now we're actually going northeast of Corpus Christi now. I find that absolutely insane to register, like, kind of process in my head here. Oh no, you can't. They always have the ability to surprise you. Okay. So, honestly, maybe we can check this storm out one more time here. Even though I'm kind of fed up with whatever Hastings is doing right now. I mean, I can see a weak ecoregion here, but even so, it's still not... It's still more or less just a shear line. There's not really anything to work with here. Oh, I couldn't see the storm complex over in Austin. I was looking at the wrong radar site. This is probably why they're keeping that tornado warning going. It's because of that little bounded weak ecoregion here. This is over towards Nebraska right now. Still have that tornado warning in North Dakota. That actually was an observed tag. Or now we don't. It's gone now. Back down to 1 over here. Let me go ahead and take a look at Austin real quick. Well, never fear. We'll actually be covering this here tomorrow live. We'll be trying to do our part to help get the warning out. We usually do that for most tropical systems if we can. Since it's the weekend especially, since I'm off, I will have more time to be able to do that. And the fact that my job's in the off season right now. I'm a landscaper, but I do a special type of landscaping. It's called aeration. Excuse me if I breathe into the mic here. Mouth's a little dry, and oh, there's my water bottle. I forgot. I had forgotten where I had put it. Where I had put it. Yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll be off. I'm actually going to be probably hopping off in just a minute. I'm going to watch Gonna watch some boxing, then rest up a little bit. Maybe play a little bit of video games. Might play some COD Zombies or something. And then we'll get ready for tomorrow. I might try to drop a tropical outlook to see what's beyond Beryl right now. As it stands right now, the pattern actually looks unfavorable for tropical development, so we get a little bit of a break. But of course, I will say, don't let your guard down. We already know, like I've said, anyone who's a regular on the channel especially, you know what the forecast is for this year's hurricane season. And we're already off to an early start. Oh, nice. Don't work too hard. That's all I'll say there. Don't work too hard. And also, I'll work on getting this computer set up properly, so that way we won't have any sort of connection issues like we did today. I'm just glad we were able to kind of work through it without too much issue. But yeah, busy season, still got severe weather to deal with. Also, after Beryl, keep an eye out for the outlooks that got set behind here for this month, and also the rest of the summer outlooks. Also, I'll have a fall outlook coming up soon, so anyone that is subscribed, definitely make sure you have that notification bell on, because there's plenty more content coming your way after this. Take yourself a little break yet. That's what I would do. Yeah, just take yourself a break, man. You're gonna be fine, and if things get bad, just look for me, man. I'll be here. I will be here. Like, unless something catastrophic happens on my own personal end, which I live all the way in Georgia, I'm gonna be here. Rest assured. And hopefully that something like that doesn't happen, but you know, yeah. But yeah, just look for me. Alright guys, that's all I got for you. I'm not gonna keep on talking at you. Appreciate you allowing me to do so though. But that's all for this evening. I'll see you all tomorrow. That is a fact. Till then, everybody take care. Have a good night. Take care of one another.